method cannot find this JSON file, then it will tell the error argument that I cannot find this file, which in programming's term it will this readFile method will tell the error that because this error is a Boolean variable or Boolean argument, so a Boolean can only have two types of value, either true or false. So this readFile method, once it can't find this JSON file, it will turn this error method or this error argument, sorry for that, it will turn this error, it will assign true to this error argument. True means it cannot find this file, but it can if it can actually find this file, then it will tell this error argument false, which means it has found the file. So if it is true, which is the way we write it, like if you can also do something like this, if true, then return, which actually means the same thing. So you can actually eliminate this part. So we are telling if error is true, or which means if error exists, then return or exit the script. So don't run anything else if you hit on this error, or if this write method file cannot find this this JSON file. So the next thing that we will do is to read the content from this featured posts HTML template. We would like to read all this content from this HTML template. So let's do that. So for this purpose also, we will also use the readFile method like before. So this readFile method will now search for or read the file that's known as posts featured posts.html, and now we do not actually need to include any sort of UTF encoding. This UTF encoding has a relationship with this JSON parse method, or this parse method included inside this JSON object. If we do not tell the server that we want to parse it in UTF encoding, because UTF encoding, if you look at this HTML template, you see something like meta char set equals to UTF-8 encoding. This is the byte encoding. I'm not going to go into the detail, but this is the form which browsers can understand when they try to read an HTML file. So to make all this raw JSON data acceptable to our browser, we need to take the step in the beginning to turn this entire JSON content into a char set, or into an encoding which is UTF-8, or which is acceptable by the browser. So now let's get back to this function. Inside this function too, we are also going to include another callback. Inside this callback, we will call HTML content. So this is pretty simple, as you can see. Because now we are reading the HTML file, we basically don't need this right now, but yeah, you can go for it. But I wouldn't recommend this. We are reading the content from this HTML file. We are reading this because we want to get to this part of the of this handler. So when I call in the, I guess I shouldn't have this error. Let's include a title maybe. I don't actually like to see warnings or errors. I want my templates and scripts to be perfectly without bugs. So let's include some blog. Just include a blog. Okay. So when I ask this readFile method to read this entire HTML page, it will read this entire page, and because I know that it will read the entire page, it will also read this handler this list handler that I created inside this HTML template. So I can use that handler, and I can replace this handler to include my data from this raw JSON folder, raw JSON file. So let's do that. Before we can do that, let me actually explain something to you. Like this previous instance, this readFile instance that we are including inside this this previous readFile method, this actually does not necessarily or directly have any sort of connection with this previous method. Why? Because in previous method we were interested in reading the JSON file. In this method, now we are only interested in reading the HTML template. So when I read the HTML template, in this callback function, this asynchronous method will throw true to this error argument if it does not find the HTML content. But if it finds this HTML template, then it's going to throw false to this error argument. And then it's going to trigger this HTML content as an object, like this JSON content. So when it finds the file, when this when this method finds this HTML template, then it's going to throw all this content to this HTML content argument. So so this handler will also be thrown to this HTML content argument. But before we can do anything with this content, with this HTML content, we need to polish this a little bit, because at the end, this response or this response object only can take up two forms of arguments. One is the string and the other is the buffer. You should only pass in a buffer or a string. Like this, I am passing in a string. But if you pass in an object, or if you try to pass in an array, then it will throw an error. I'll be showing you how the error looks once I finish this part. So let me create this var. We need to polish up this HTML content, which now contains all the raw data from this HTML template. So now var HTML equals to, let me call this HTML page, HTML content. Now I need to turn this into a string, and we are good to go. Now the fun part comes in here. We are now ready to use all the data that we are now going to synchronize the data that we have pulled from this JSON file, and the data that we have also pulled in from this HTML template. This JSON title now contains the polished JSON titles from this JSON file, and this HTML variable now contains the polished data from this HTML template. So we are now ready to connect them or synchronize them for our final output. But before we can do that, we need to do some interesting stuff with this cheer.io, or we need to do some sort of we need to add some sort of functionality with our JQuery module. This is not necessarily a JQuery module, but this is more of like a module, a lightweight version of JQuery, so that our application stays smaller.